Hey guys, Chris the Bad Guy here. Ignore the hum from the light I just turned on. It's a metal halide. It's going to take a while to warm up. I'm going to be comparing two Alpha Beasts. The first one is my own personal Alpha Beast. I have owned for 4 years now. This is the second blade I put on it. It's an alt blade I just traded with someone. It had better tolerances and it had a crown spine. It wasn't as sharp, but it didn't have rust on it either. So, win for me. So I traded, and that was at Blade Show 2016, I think. 2017, that's what it was. So yeah, that's this Alpha Beast. And this one is just in my possession at the moment. It's not mine, but this is a new Bowie Alpha Beast with a wicked point that it's not going to focus on. Let's I do this at least. Wicked point. The edge is pretty sharp. Not as sharp as mine came when I first got it, but it's respectably sharp for sure. Reminds me of a Basilisk blade just a little bit, just the Bowie, the way it's super elongated like that, but I guess that's all Bally's or Bowies. So the reason I was sent this was because the person was relatively new into Balisongs when they got this, and they didn't want to screw it up by not knowing what they were doing and tuning it and adjusting it, and he was thinking that the pivots, that Light's doing his job now, that the pivots might have been, he was going to break something in the process of trying to get the play as down to as minimal as possible. And what's unfortunate is that not every knife is perfect, and there just is play. When I first got my personal Alpha Beast, there was play in the handles, and it was about as much as this one. And no matter how much you crank down on those handles, it's just the way the bushings were fitted. You got about this much play. No tap or anything, but it just happens sometimes. And then sometimes you get knives with bushings that are this well tuned. It's like, it doesn't look like it's better by a whole lot, but with that one you can feel a stopping point. It's like you are parking and you hit the little block on your tire. This thing, it just kind of feels like I'm pushing into foam. Like the play is only there if I force it. So, and that's what this blade with the bushings that it came with were like. Because when I traded blades, I traded the bushings with it. And that's what you should always do if you trade a knife blade with bushings for some reason. If you trade the knife blade at all. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that his tolerances on his knife just aren't as good. But that's about the worst thing about this knife, to be honest. Everything else is superb. Something I noticed about these two Alpha Beasts is that they flip very, very similarly. And that's amazing. Like, I picked up my own Alpha Beast, this one in my hands right now, thinking I had picked up his when I was just sitting at my desk and was casually doing small flips because I was being careful with it, not to drop it. It's over hardwood to protect the carpet. These are on those carpet feet so they don't damage the carpet or whatever. I'm not the reason they're doing that. My dad is. But, I was flipping the knife, and I literally thought that I was flipping his knife for like a good solid minute, like a full 60 seconds. And then I realized, wait a second, this is his knife, not mine. Speaking of, shout out to his channel. I think it's like Quarantine Flips or something. It'll be linked in the description. Go follow him. I'm sure I'll pin his comment from his channel in the comment section, because he not only sent me this knife to look at and do a review on, he sent me something else I'll be showing in a video relatively soon as well. But yeah, this is a super clean knife, and what's amazing is how similarly it flips to that. Like, it not only feels the same in my hand, the only difference that this knife feels in my hand than this one is that if I feel closely, the texture of the handles is slightly different because it has more oils in it, because it's old, it's 4 years old, I've touched it a lot. The anodization might have something to do with that, and some of the scratches kind of are noticeable, especially near the ends of the handles if I happen to touch it there. But other than that, the way it flips and the feedback, like the way the pins hit the handles from the blade, the tang pins, and the way it bounces on ricochets, and the way it rolls over, and just the way it reacts to everything is identical to this one. It sounds slightly different, but I oiled them with the same oil, flipped them, did the same moves for a while, and they felt identical. And that's saying something because this Alpha Beast is basically brand new. Like, it's been flipped a little bit, but it's not like it's been well used. Not even near that. It's been lightly used. This Alpha Beast, on the other hand, has seen about 8 continuous hours of being dropped on concrete in awkward angles. I don't mean 8 hours of flipping. I mean 8 continuous hours of what would be video of you just watching this knife hit concrete in every awkward angle possible. And about the worst that happened was my screws loosened. And what's nice about these knives with bushings is that usually if you tighten the screws down tight enough to give you as little play as possible, you don't even need Loctite because the screws will hold themselves in. And if you really need Loctite, you can use like Teflon tape or something along those lines. You can use a dab of Elmer's glue or something, wait for it to dry, and then screw it in. And that's enough. Like, it's just to keep the screw from backing out. And the screws normally don't want to come out anyways. The only time I've ever had my screws back out on me, even a little bit on my Alpha Beast, was shortly after I had dropped it on concrete. And that's just because the shock can break the tension that the screw has, I assume. And that makes sense. And I don't really consider it a problem to have a little bit of play if I don't have a screwdriver, because the screw's not going to fall out that quickly, especially if I start noticing blade tap or blade rub. So I just find it remarkable that a knife like this is comparable and identical to just like mine. Like, I've beaten the living crap out of that knife. And this one just continues... and mine just continues to thrive in the same way that this brand new Alpha Beast does. It isn't a perfect comparison. They weren't from the same batch. They got different blade shapes, blah, blah, blah. They got crown spines now. They're a little different. I'm sure lots of things are different. But I couldn't tell when I wasn't even looking at the knife I was flipping which one it was. So I'd say they're close enough to where that honestly doesn't even matter. It's just, these things are so ridiculously durable. Like, if there's any knife, I'd say, like, any production knife that I've ever flipped that I think would be the best beater, I think the Alpha Beast is probably on the top of that list. Everything else is, there's lots of other good options. But I don't think anything quite compares like the Alpha Beast. Like, you're talking about solid chunks of frickin' titanium. Even though it's a sandwich knife, though, it's thick, it's heavy, it's robust. It uses a denser grade of titanium, I believe, than like what the 42 used. I could be wrong on that. But anyways, the knife just flips freaking great. And that's why I've held on to it for so long. It's just, on top of it just being a sentimental knife to me at this point, I just could not live without an Alpha Beast in my arsenal, because even though I'm not like a devout flipper as much as I used to be, I still love flipping, as you can see me doing right now, and I still love doing YouTube in general. And those two things keep me doing the other. Like, battle songs keep me doing YouTube, and YouTube keeps me doing battle songs. It's kind of a good balance. And, nuts. I'm amazed it didn't touch that knife once in that path that it took through the air. I'm very anxious about damaging that knife, which I'm sure wouldn't be the end of the world, but I'd hate to have someone get their knife back in any less condition than what it came in. I'm going to go off on a tangent, but what's funny is that for my school, I'm like the brass instrument caretaker. It's like I've taken instruments home and like done maintenance to them and done like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of technician work. Just because I know how to frickin' solder brass and just work out dents and work valves and maintain instruments better than most other people, apparently. So I'm saving my school thousands that they got from the state anyways. I guess I'm just letting them spend the the state tax dollars on other things. It doesn't matter. Point is, it's like, I don't like giving things back in any less condition than I got them, so I'm just always trying to make sure it's better. And whenever I tried getting this thing to work right, I didn't just try tightening it. I tried disassembling it. I tried swapping the bushings because the bushings are fitted to every knife that's made, every blade, like every blade that's made. So I thought maybe they put the bushings in backwards. So I tried it that way, and I tried the inverted way to where like I rotate it 180 degrees to where it goes in the other way, which doesn't matter as much, but they all yielded the same result. But yeah, honestly, I'm just amazed that an Alpha Beast this new doesn't even flip much different. Or should I say that an Alpha Beast this old and beaten doesn't flip much different from a brand new Alpha Beast, which is to say it flips freaking great. And, like, honestly, this... man, I mean, even the cosmetic condition, like, it's not like it's got streak marks all over it. It's got some fair share of dings and scratches, but it's just freaking made of titanium, and it's durable as heck, so... What, cat? What? Little turd. But yeah. Another thing I'm going to talk about. The blade shape is different, obviously. So, I forgot what the blade shape is called. Ooh, that's going to bother some people. I got the female end on one side and the male end on the other. Sorry about that, you OCD people. So, this is the alt blade and this is the Bowie blade. The blade my knife originally had was the blade that, like what they had. I think it's called a scimitar blade, or I forgot the name. I've been too out of it. But the blade that originally came with, I think the scimitar blade, it had a lot more weight on the end. And I think it flipped just a little more. It did rollovers better. This flips a little, like, ever so slightly more handle heavy but neutral. And this one kind of flips a little more so of this than, like, it has the same principle of this compared to the scimitar blade, but to this one. That makes sense. It's just the blade's lighter and it's leaner. And, yeah. So, does that affect the way it flips at all? No. I barely notice. Like, the only reason I even would have a chance of noticing is if I'm, like, specifically paying attention. All three of them flip great. I think if you're going to get one, it's truly just preference. I think you can't go wrong with the alt blade because it's in the middle. And they all flip so similarly anyways, it doesn't matter. But honestly, I think you should just go by looks on this one. If you like one blade shape over the other, you like the Bowie. If they made a Tanto of the Alpha Beast, I'd freaking rob a bank just to buy that thing. And for legal purposes, that's obviously a joke, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I think I'm going to end the video here. Thank you to my friend Quarantine for sending this out to me, even though I am kind of doing him a favor of tuning it. I still get to review the knife, and I am giving him a shout out to whatever. I like doing nice things. Let me be a nice person. Alright. I'll drive it from a very small distance for you. And goodbye.